Okay, well, a point of clarification. We do not call ourselves the Hoovelons. We were named that by the camera team at CNN because maybe on the third week of bringing our,
Children
6-month-old in at 6 in the morning, it just was too comical not to have a nickname. We are so humbled. Frankly, Randy, all of you, thank you very much for this award. Errol and Anita, thank you for your kind words. To be in the company of all of you, it is a true honor. Bob, you hosted the Searchlight Award, of course, was a program on NBC that was hosted for many, many years and then mothballed and then came back on New York One and was hosted by the fearless Citizens Union membership. And this is a remark I resemble, as Firing Line was, of course, hosted by another luminary, and I was privileged to bring it back. I did not start as a journalist. I began, maybe like many of you in this room, as an incredibly poorly paid public servant. At the federal level, I was a congressional staffer and then a White House staffer and a very, very junior presidential campaign staffer, and then ended up as a only slightly less junior campaign staffer for a presidential candidate who had previously been the mayor of New York. His living legacy is our children, and so I'm very grateful for his ambition and for having introduced me to my husband. But as a journalist, it's the same patriotic passion that inspired us to be poorly paid public servants that I think inspires us to also sit down and ask probing questions and bring clarity and transparency to this incredible democracy we live in. And Randy, you said democracy is our business at Citizens Union, and that is the business of a journalist. That business is, of course, protected in the First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or the press. Or of the press. Those 4 words were shoved in there by James Madison, who later, in defense of them, when the Alien and Sedition Acts were passed and he argued against its unconstitutionality, he said Americans ought to be outraged because they are leveled against the right of freely examining public characters and measures, and of free communication among the people thereon, which has ever been justly deemed the only effectual guardian of every other right. That is the responsibility of journalism, and it is with that degree of seriousness that we take our jobs, because we know what you know, which is that we live in the greatest democracy, the experiment in democracy in human history, in the greatest city in the world. And as Attorney General Lynch said, these are trying times in our city and in our democracy. And you are right, Attorney General, the price of freedom is constant vigilance, and we take our job incredibly seriously because that is our job. It is vigilance and putting a spotlight and a searchlight on our public figures. And so it is with humility that we accept this award, and it was with the same sense of responsibility to Benjamin Franklin's challenge, which he issued outside of the steps of the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia, to the question, what kind of government was established? A republic if you can keep it. And we feel very strongly that we accept this challenge, as you all are the holders of the conscience of good government in New York, right? It is, democracy is all of our business. And with that, we accept the challenge to keep this blessed republic and humbly accept your Searchlight Award.
Of course, my bride was going to go first, but I want to echo much of what she said. But as a longtime board member of Citizens Union, I first met Randy working in City Hall a generation ago, and joining the Citizens Union board after time in City Hall seemed like a logical way to continue that spirit of public service, even when you're not working in government. And it's a reminder that just as Citizens Union was founded as a union of citizens across party lines trying to stand up to the corruption of Tammany Hall, that Democracy is all of our business. And I think as a journalist, work with a background in government, and Margaret feels this way as well, it's two sides of the same coin. It's often in tension, but people should be driven to those professions and careers for much of the same reasons: a belief, a deep civic commitment, a sense that the responsibilities of self-government are all our business. And one of the things I took from my time in government into my journalism is a belief that we shouldn't simply be content to criticize, although that is sometimes a sport and a pastime among New Yorkers. We should feel a responsibility to propose solutions. Not thinking that we've got all the answers, because God knows we don't, but the obligation to propose solutions is incumbent upon all of us. Margaret mentioned the First Amendment to the Constitution. I always like to point out the Constitution doesn't mention political parties, but it does mention journalism. And that is because we all have this responsibility to make sure, to defend our democracy, to ensure accountability and transparency. And in New York, I think it's particularly resonant because we are the birthplace of the Bill of Rights. We are the birthplace of the American dream, because symbolized, I think, by the Statue of Liberty and the Ellis Island on our harbor, we're a place of constant reinvention, where people come from across the country to pursue their American dream. And it's rooted in our history, that we walk on the streets where many of the founding fathers walked, where the city and the country have debated some of our most momentous issues, and we carry these fights forward in that spirit. And we always have, as a union of citizens. And I think it's easy to be cynical. And there are a lot of people in New York who dismiss good government groups, who dismiss the idea of reform itself. But what we're really talking about is defending democracy. It's ensuring accountability. It's believing that societies don't simply drift on larger forces, but that we can all roll up our sleeves as citizens and to try to enact policies and to hand our city and our state and our nation better than it was handed to us. That's our common responsibility. And there's no better way, I know, to influence that through public policy in a constructive way than being a member of Citizens Union. And of course, in the larger sense, that's who we all are as New Yorkers. We are a union of citizens devoted to advancing this great experiment in our city and in our country, in democracy. And so it's such an honor to be recognized by so many friends and colleagues for our work in journalism and the part we play in trying to advance the life of the city and the democracy in our country at such a difficult time. History tells us we will get through this. We will. And we'll look back on it as a noble time to be in the fight, as fellow citizens and friends. Thank you so much.